What is up, Momentous family? It is Patrick Robertson here at Momentous Living, and today we're going to be going over the 2024 mortgage rate predictions and forecasts and what mortgage rates are today, going over the recent plummet December 1st, 2023. This video will cover three main areas. First, we're going to go over the recent drop of mortgage rates on December 1st of 2023. Then we're going to go into the actual why is this happening? Why are mortgage rates dropping today? Why are they dropping so dramatically? And that'll set the groundwork for part 3, which we're going to be talking about what mortgage rates are looking like in the future of 2024 and even in 2025 and why those predictions are valid. If you find any value in this episode, please give us a like, share, and subscribe so we can grow this channel, and I'm going to jump right into it. Mortgage rates, or interest rates for your mortgage on your home. It is something we've been all thinking about this last year, basically since the middle of 2022 when we saw the magical 3% mortgage rates go away. In October 25th of 2023, we hit a high of 8.01% for a mortgage rate, and that is the highest in the last 20 plus years. Very astronomical number for us today, as our expectations are used to being in the 3/4s and maybe even 5s. However, on December 1st of 2023, mortgage rates dropped dramatically for the 4th week in a row to 7.22%. That is a 0.79% decrease over 30 days. That is very, very astronomical, because what that really does is completely transform a buyer's purchasing power in the market. That allows them to purchase more home, be approved to pay for more home. And sometimes it's not even the fact that they're approved to purchase more of a home. Sometimes it's just a mental idea that, hey, listen, I don't want an 8% mortgage. I don't want a 7.9% mortgage. Now that we're starting to come down, we're going to actually step out of 7%, which we'll talk about later on. Buyers are going to be much more open to the idea of purchasing a home today. And to give you guys a little bit of math, the difference between a 7.9% interest rate, say an 8% like we talked about, that 7.22, that is December 1st, that is a 8% change in the buyer's purchasing power for their next home. And another way to say it is, if you were previously approved at 8% for a $500,000 home, now you will be able to be pre-approved for a $540,000 home. Basically, at that $500,000 mark, you get a 40% additional purchasing power for your mortgage. And that is astronomical, especially when you're looking at homes that are $750,000 and above to $1 million. The buyer's purchasing power goes up dramatically. This is going to open doors going in the future for home sales to actually increase. It'll increase the idea for sellers to actually want to sell their home and buyers to purchase these homes. So let's jump into part 2 of why mortgage rates have fallen 0.8% in the last 4 to 5 weeks. One of the biggest things that will affect this massive drop in mortgage rates is actually the sentiment in the market. Basically, the confidence that investors are seeing today, what banks are seeing, because they're not going to have a low rate if they perceive a high risk in the future. And one of those things that actually gave a lot of confidence to bankers and investors is the fact that the Fed did not raise the rates in November. So that is very important going forward in the future, because what we expect in December is that rates will be maintained again, and eventually it will be dropped in 2024 by the Fed. What this basically means is that the bonds for the 10-year Treasury yield, which is tightly knit to the actual 30-year mortgage rate, is starting to come down as people are putting their money elsewhere. A lot of people buy bonds to hedge against any risk in the market. Another crazy thing that we're seeing is that why rates can come down so fast without actual interest rates from the Fed coming down or the bond yield actually coming down is there is a big padding between the actual bond yields and the actual mortgage rates. Usually it's about 180 basis points or 1.8%. But right now we're trending above 300 basis points or 3%. That gives a lot of wiggle room for rates to actually come down based on sentiment in the market, or basically the confidence going forward in the future for what the economic outlook is going to be. The other part that affects rates is actual demand for mortgages, because if demand is high, they can have higher rates. And once demand goes lower, banks will start to slowly lower those rates to entice buyers to actually have new mortgages, because that's how they make money. All of this is a big way of saying, and really complex way of saying, and this is going right over your head, the market is feeling more confident of what the economic future is looking like. This is basically saying that the market is getting more and more confident of what is coming forward in the future, and that we are not seeing any more risk from rising rates, rising inflation, and things that will disrupt the market and the returns of investment bankers. Let's dive into part 3, which probably why most of you guys are watching this video, and that is mortgage rate predictions for 2024. We're gonna start off with some of the big companies out there that are putting out their predictions. The first one is the Mortgage Bankers Association, which all they do is mortgage rates. They look at the market and what they are predicting in the future based on the future economic outlook of the US economy and the housing market. We are looking at a 6.1% mortgage rate by the end of 2024. And in 2025, they're looking at an average of 5.5% for a mortgage rate. Even at today, that's about a 1.2% decrease in the mortgage rate that we are currently seeing today at 7.22%. Massive drop. Freddie Mac, another huge source for mortgages, and what they're saying is that they're looking at a 6% plus on 2024. So basically, over 2024, they do not expect interest rates to drop below 6%. Another huge source that we'll cite to just cap all this off as a high is Realtor.com, and they're predicting an average of 6.8% for all of 2024, and at the end of 2024 dropping to 6.5%. So what we're really looking at is a high of 6.8% and the floor of 6.1% for mortgage rates. This is all good news because we are gaining additional purchasing power for buyers and also for sellers that really need to move or really want to make their move. It's less painful if they're having to leave a 3 or 4 or 5% mortgage rate. Now that we've heard from some of the largest players in the market today, we can kind of rule out that sub 6% mortgage rates just probably aren't going to happen in 2024. So if you're waiting for mortgage rates to drop and you're thinking, oh, it's going to be the fall of next year, we're going to go back to 5% or 4%, just keep that in mind. It's most likely at a strong probability not going to happen. So what we would recommend is making sure that you plan for a mid 6% mortgage rate. And we're going to dive into what our predictions are. The final part is we're going to talk about why mortgage rates are going to decrease. And it is very important because it's going to be affecting the general economy. The first thing is unemployment. The Fed is keeping their interest rates very high. They're actually trying to increase unemployment because that will solve some of the issues with inflation and labor demand in the market today. Ultimately, what we are predicting is a 5% plus unemployment rate in 2024. That means that we're probably going to see some type of recession or an enhancement of the stagflation that we're currently seeing, where prices go up but people aren't really making too much money. And that is what the definition of stagflation is. With a recession, things go down. Stagflation kind of just stays flat for longer and you don't really see any progress. It's an easy way of thinking about it. Another reason that will indirectly affect mortgage rates is that by the second half of 2024, we feel really confident that the Fed will start to decrease the rates, hopefully not fast, but at a reasonable rate, which will loosen up the money supply and actually transfer itself eventually into the mortgage rates and decrease rates further. The third reason why rates will most likely drop in 2024, and that is the difference between the bond yield and the mortgage rates. And we expect that to collapse as inflation kind of decreases, the market gets more comfortable, and we see a track of going forward in the future where rates are not increasing anymore from the Fed, because that delta is really padding to ensure that the bankers and investors still make their returns in the market. Summing all this up, we had a lot of educational information here on mortgage rates, the data, where everything's moving, but our predictions is that by the end of 2024 and really by Q2, Q3 area, we're going to be seeing a 6.5 to maybe even 6.3% interest rate and finishing out the year right around there through Q4. That decrease though, that 1%, if you average out the last 3 months going from a say 7.4, 7.5 down to a 6.5 to a 6.3, that 1% is nearly 11% in purchasing power for buyers. What this all means is that buyers buyers are going to be 11% more wealthy to purchase homes, and sellers will be able to sell their homes for more and purchase homes. Now here's the caveat. Home prices are probably going to go up dramatically as the year continues, and if the recession does happen, which is highly likely, even if it's small, at the end of that recession, we are going to see homes skyrocket in prices because of the decreased interest rates, resulting in higher purchasing power for buyers. Over the course of the year, there's probably going to be about anywhere between a 2.5 to a 5% appreciation in 2024 on the national average. Now, mind you, hot markets like here in Frisco, Texas, will probably be anywhere between 5 and 10% appreciation in 2024, as wealthy individuals that aren't affected by such a recession now have higher purchasing power to go through the year. 2024 will see home appreciation on a national level. On a micro level inside an actual neighborhood, you're going to see mass appreciation if you're in a hot market. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here. My name is Patrick Robertson. Of course, I'm a realtor. I love helping families find their dream home, their quality built home. My mission is to make sure that we weed out all the garbage and we find nothing but momentous living spaces for you guys and your families. Thank you so much for joining us here today, Momentous family. Really big education heavy video here, but stay tuned every single week because we're gonna be putting out more and more videos to keep you updated, educated, and inspired to go purchase your dream home. If you guys have any questions, all my information is below. I love to hop on a call, chat, help you guys find that quality built home here. Until then, guys, this is Patrick Robertson of Momentous Living. Thank you so much for joining us here today, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.